What's happening, everyone? Max Forti here. Today we're going to talk about why fragrances are so important to us, memories, the emotions it evokes, and all that stuff. We have AESTHETICMD David in the house. We have Kayla with us, beautiful Kayla, and our friend Ryan, which is a lawyer. So you're going to get different perspectives from different people here today in this video. So stay tuned, it's coming up right now. All right, guys, so we're here in New York City, beautiful skyline. I'm here at David's house, his little humble abode here, and we're here to talk about memories. So we'll take you through the scientific portion of it first. He's a doctor. We have a model here, a financial guy, and a lawyer here. So we have all different people from all different walks of lives. You know, we're mostly Latin, Russian, so you get a little bit of everything. That's New York for you. So Tell us about the scientific aspect of why fragrances evoke these memories, these emotions, why we love it so much.
So, you know, the interesting part about fragrance is it's very directly linked to memories and emotions. So, a quick anatomy and physiology lesson, you have some receptors in your nose in the frontal ethmoid bone right here, which then carry signals from scent molecules up into the brain and into a portion of the brain called the amygdala, which is part of a system called the limbic system. This system basically ties memories and emotions together, even in a cumulative way. So 1 + 1 = 3. So you can imagine a lot of these traumatic events that have happened to you in the past, good and bad, right? Very strong emotions you'll remember for the rest of your life. You'll remember what happened that day in that moment.
Amazing.
So scent is actually directly tied to this region of the brain. Now, a little fun fact here is that when it's cold, your mucous membranes are drier. In order for these scent molecules to go into these receptors, they need to dissolve through the mucus. So why do we wear heavier scents in the winter? Because they're more able to...
More susceptible to be captured by...
Right. So we're not as sensitive in the winter because everything's dried up.
Right.
So we want a heavier scent to then allow us to smell it. In addition, scent is so strong that now it's being used clinically in the hospital, in the operating rooms, for patients before and after surgery to calm them down, specifically lavender. And people with Alzheimer's have actually been found to find a lot of their autobiographical information, like memories that they used to have but lost, come back much more strongly when associated with an odor or a fragrance. So fragrances are truly a very unique and fascinating thing. I'm going to hand it over to Max now.
So I'm going to take you guys through a quick journey here. Ryan will tell us a memory that he has associated with his father, which is really cool. So Ryan, give us a little bit of a... He's not really a big fragrance guy like me.
Yeah, not at all.
But he has a really cool memory with his father, which I thought was nice to share.
Yeah, so talking about fragrances, the only one that comes to mind is when I was a child, I don't know, around 5, 6, 7 8 years old. My father, every time he would get ready for work, be ready to leave the house, he would spray on the little Hugo Boss bottle with a screw on top.
Oh,
really?
it must be a Spanish thing.
Yeah, with the strap, right?
1995 Hugo. It'll pop here for you guys so you can see it. I'll put a transition. It's Hugo. It has the little tassel, the little screw-on cap. So I'm very familiar with that. And you're right. Latin people love that. That's
he loved it. He used it for years.
Really good.
So, and that's exactly what I remember. Yeah, he would spray it one on each cheek, and then one around his neck,
area.
And he'd spray so much that it would be like just dripping on his cheek, and he'd kiss me on the cheek goodbye, like ready to leave the house for work. And I always remember it always like he would put so much on that it would rub off on me as well.
So whenever you smell that fragrance, even if you're walking around New York City or whatever, it's going to take
me right back to that moment when I was a kid. Yeah,
which is amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ryan, for sharing it with us. Man. Dave will share a memory, then I'll share one memory with you guys.
So one of the memories that personally I have very strongly associated with my father is whenever he would also get ready. I wouldn't really see him too often. My father was really kind of not in the picture too much. However, I remember him and things about him so much more vividly just because of this fragrance. And it was Safari by Ralph Lauren. And that it's the original gold bottle with the two lions and stuff, the logo. And just remember, like, whenever I smell it, I think of like a guy who has his like stuff together, a guy who had
All put together,
right, a
very
mature,
classy, elegant.
classy, and you know, maybe my father wasn't like that, but that was the impression that I had, and it stuck with me the rest of my life. And yeah, I would say that's just so, like, associating that memory with my father is probably one of the most important.
You were at my house a couple weekends ago, and we're going through my fragrances.
Right.
And you saw that bottle, and you had to spray it
Instantly.
Wow, just took it back.
Instantly had to. You're right.
So cool.
So I actually do
you remember one,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
Kayla? Cool.
So growing up, my mom was she was a working mom, so she wasn't really much in the house and stuff. But I do remember she had a huge collection of perfumes. Yeah. Cool. And I remember I always clearly wanted to be like my mom, wanted to dress like her, wanted to look like her, or smell like her, anything. So I would go into her room, and when she would sneak in all the time, and I remember just like her perfumes, they looked like they were trophies. Yes,
on top
like
of the dresser?
yes, on top of the
That's
dresser,
so cool.
in like a glass top display.
Wow.
Yes, and
That's so
I
cool.
remember always wanting to touch them and wanting to spray them, but I remember always saying like, oh my God, if
Something
my mom,
happens,
if
if
something
they break.
happens, if they break, if my mom smells them on me, I'm gonna be in big trouble.
So you never actually?
I never actually went there and sprayed it, but I would always, my mom had such a huge collection. She just has so many different scents growing up. I remember always wanting to like spray them, but you know, now it's my turn to actually
To
have
enjoy
that
and have your
collection. Yeah.
But if you
hopefully.
smell stuff that she actually wore back then, it'll remind you of her, even though you may not know the name of the actual fragrance,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Cool. I have two memories. You guys probably follow the channel. You've heard of these two. One is a Sour Pour Homme, which has such an important impact in my life because it was literally the first fragrance that I wore. I was 7 years old. My father bought a gift set and gave me the mini. I put on so much, and I was actually removed from class. They told me to leave the class because I was smelling so strong. And then later on, I got back in class after like 2 hours because back then those fragrances were really powerful. I still have some vintage bottles, and my father used to wear that and kiss me all the time, you know, with his beard made. And so it brings me back to those times, and sometimes I have a hankering to smell like that. And the other one is Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme, the original with the sticker from '94, which when my kids were born, I was actually wearing that particular fragrance, which had been my signature scent for like 7 years. So it's very near and dear to me. So tremendous memories, you know. So it's one of those things, you know, whether you wore it or somebody in your life that's important to you wore it, it's just going to stick with you. Or a relationship you had, or somebody you knew.
Memories, good and bad, right?
Correct. Anybody has any bad memories associated with the scent?
I do.
Oh, there you go.
Actually, yeah. I guess I'm not too sure what the name of the cologne was, but it was, maybe you guys can pinpoint it. I think it was called Chrome.
A Sour Chrome? Sure.
Yeah.
It's a square bottle, blue juice.
It has blue. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
a Sour Chrome.
So my daughter's father used to wear it a lot.
So you hate that.
And so that's one scent that I absolutely despise.
Actually, a really good scent.
That's a great topic too, Dave, because a lot of people in the community talk about that, not wanting to smell common designers because like Acqua di Giu is so popular, the top selling fragrance in America. If you wear that, chances are you get a girlfriend, somebody in her life probably wore that at some point.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's one thing. Aventus is getting like that now.
Exactly.
Because so many people wearing the same thing. All right, so he's going to wrap it up right now for us with another part of fragrance and scent itself, why the emotion and you know, the memories are so important.
I mean, guys, you can see already just from our kind of experience that scent is just very strong in evoking emotions. I'm sure you guys can attest to that, and we'd like to hear some of your experiences if you want to just comment down below. But one thing I want to finally wrap up with is that scent and taste are clearly very heavily linked, and you know, a lot of these kind of these tastes that we have into adulthood, they've developed early on when we were kids, because you remember grandma's like cooking and her porridge, and something just now whenever you smell that, you really like it, you enjoy it so much more. It's this visceral feeling. It does.
Comfort.
It does.
Security, happiness.
It brings comfort. All these, actually. The same pathways with the limbic system are tied in with taste as well. So that's why it's just they're so synergistic. And actually, in obese individuals, you see that that system is kind of almost burnt out. So they need more of constantly feeding that system in order to satiate and get that dopamine that used to come from like a smaller portion or whatever. So there is actual scientific basis behind fragrance and using it for medical purposes and benefits. But please, I want to hear your guys' opinions and your kind of experiences, so that would be excellent. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment down below too. Max is very knowledgeable in terms of fragrances. If you want more scientific stuff, you can always feel free to check out my channel.
Check out Dave's channel, AESTHETICMD. I'm going to have it linked below. He's a great guy. He's going to give you not only fragrance stuff, he'll drop that in, he'll sprinkle that in, but it's mostly about looking good. Look, the guy looks great, goes to the gym every day, eats well. So he's actually been helping me. I actually lost 5 pounds in the last 2 weeks because he helped me out. So check out his channel. I'm a living proof. The guy is great. Thanks, Ryan, for being a part of this, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks
for your input. Thank you, Kayla. Guys, stay tuned for more. And as always, wear what truly moves you. We'll catch you guys real soon.